What if the figure you were taught to fear was never the real enemy at all? What if one of the oldest spiritual stories in our culture was not just misunderstood, but deliberately inverted, until the one who brought light got turned into darkness, and the wisdom that tried to wake humanity up got buried under guilt, fear, and official doctrine? It sounds extreme because it does not just question one symbol, it flips the whole story. And once that happens, the old version stops looking innocent. Beneath nearly 2,000 years of dogma, there is another map, and it was never meant to stay visible. In that map, Sophia and the Light-Bearer are not enemies of the divine at all. They are allies inside a hidden rescue pact. Dangerous, yes. Costly, absolutely, but not evil. And if you like subjects like this, the ones hiding behind the surface version, the ones that make you reopen what you thought was settled, subscribe to the channel. That is exactly what we do here. The version most people inherit is clean and simple. God creates, humanity disobeys, the serpent corrupts, the fall ruins everything, evil enters the world. End of story. It is neat. It is easy. It is morally tidy. But a lot of ancient currents did not read the story that way at all. In the Gnostic world, especially in the traditions linked to the texts found near Nag Hammadi in 1945, creation looks very different. The highest God is not the jealous ruler of the material world. The ultimate divine reality, the fullness of light, the pleroma, exists beyond the cramped categories of ordinary religion. The being who made this lower world, the one later called the demiurge, is not the supreme source. He is a lesser power, ignorant, arrogant, convinced he is the whole thing. In many of these texts, his name is Yaldabaoth, and this is the point where people get tense. Because if that lower creator is not the highest God, then obedience is no longer automatically holy. Authority is no longer automatically clean. Even good and evil stop looking as simple as we were taught. In fact, if that creator is not the highest God, then a lot of what was sold as obedience starts looking like submission. A lot of what was sold as order starts looking like control. That is not a small adjustment. That is a total rearranging of the moral furniture. And once you see that possibility, you start noticing how often people confuse power with truth just because power speaks with confidence. Then Sophia enters, and honestly, this part matters more than most people realize. Sophia is wisdom, but not in the soft, decorative sense people usually mean. Not a nice quote, not a vague spiritual vibe. In these texts, she is an aeon, a living emanation of divine intelligence. Her descent into the world is usually described as a fall, but that word can completely mislead you if you read it too fast, because the deeper reading is not that she failed, it is that she descended on purpose. A cosmic mistake gives you tragedy. A voluntary descent gives you mission. That changes everything. Because then, history is not just a cosmic accident, it starts looking like strategy. Her act stops looking like failure and starts looking like strategy. Or, to put it even more plainly, it starts looking like sacrifice with intent. She enters limitation. She embeds herself in the broken structure of the world. She becomes the hidden intelligence inside creation itself, the quiet pressure inside beauty, the strange pull inside conscience, the ache inside longing, the little shock you feel when something in life looks normal on the outside, but still feels deeply wrong underneath. And I think this is one of the most important parts, because that ache is not treated here as a defect. It is treated as a signal. It is Sophia reminding the soul that it did not originate in the cage. A lot of people know that feeling, even if they do not have language for it. Life is functioning. Bills are paid. The calendar is full. You are doing what you are supposed to do, and still something in you keeps looking around like, wait, this is it. That feeling is easy to pathologize, easy to medicate, easy to dismiss. But in this framework, that unrest means something. Wisdom is remembering. Wisdom is refusal. Wisdom is the part of you that does not fully consent to a reduced life. But wisdom alone was not enough. A whisper can keep memory alive. It cannot always break the spell, and that is where the light-bearer comes in. This is the part official theology turned into poison. Before Lucifer became a catch-all symbol for absolute evil in later doctrine, the name itself pointed to light, to the morning star, to the one who carries brightness before dawn. In several Gnostic and related currents, the figure associated with the serpent in Eden is not a corrupter trying to destroy humanity. He is a provocateur, a catalyst, the one who interrupts managed innocence, the one who says, "Open your eyes." In texts like the Testimony of Truth, the serpent is described as wiser than the Creator who wanted Adam and Eve to remain ignorant. Think about how radical that is. The forbidden fruit is no longer a trap. It is knowledge, consciousness, discernment, the very thing the system needed humans not to have, which means Eden, in this reading, was not paradise at all. It was managed innocence, safe, maybe, comfortable, maybe, but also controlled, a spiritual nursery with surveillance, a high-security waiting room dressed up as peace, not freedom. Just obedience that felt pleasant. And that lands a little too hard in modern life, does it not? Because a lot of what passes for safety is really just permission with boundaries. A lot of what passes for peace is just conflict removed at the price of consciousness. In families, institutions, politics, religion, even relationships, people are constantly told not to look too closely, not to ask too much, not to name what feels off. Stay agreeable. Stay grateful. Stay manageable. That old story still lives because people still live inside versions of Eden they are afraid to question. The serpent breaks the sleep. Sophia plants the spark. The light-bearer ignites it. That is the hidden covenant, not a random accident, not a symbolic coincidence, a strategy. One works from within, one strikes from without, one keeps memory alive, one breaks the spell. Together, they make awakening possible. This is where the story stops being theology and starts becoming a map of awakening, and here is the deeper sting. If salvation comes through direct inner knowledge, through Gnosis, then systems built on blind obedience lose their monopoly. Priests lose their monopoly. Empires lose their monopoly. Mediators lose their monopoly. If the divine spark is already inside the human being, then external power can no longer claim total ownership of the soul. That is not just theology. That is a political threat. And it helps explain why these teachings had to be pushed out, suppressed, rewritten, and branded heresy once the institutional church fused itself with imperial power. Once church and empire needed the same thing, obedient souls, These teachings were no longer just inconvenient, they were dangerous. By the 4th century, these ideas were no longer merely argued against. They were erased, texts disappeared, traditions were flattened, archetypes were inverted, Sophia was minimized, Eve became the one to blame, Mary Magdalene was recast. And Lucifer, the bearer of light, got fused with absolute evil in a way that made fear much easier to govern with. That inversion is not a side issue. It is the mechanism. It is the whole game. Because once people are taught that truth can be recognized directly, fear loses one of its best political tools. And then history did something almost unbelievable. In 1945, jars buried in Egypt cracked open and buried memory came back into view. The Nag Hammadi library surfaced. Texts like the Apocryphon of John, the Gospel of Philip, and others reopened a world many assumed had been sealed off for good. Suddenly, the approved version no longer looked like the only version. Suddenly, there was evidence that early spiritual imagination was stranger, sharper, and far more subversive than later orthodoxy liked to admit. If you are still with me, tell me the one part that hits you hardest so far. Not the safest part, the hardest part. Is it the Creator not being the highest God, the serpent as teacher, or the possibility that the fall was never just failure? And if one line in this has already cracked something open in you, say that too. I mean it. Because this is the point where people either lean in or back away, and I get it. This material presses right on the nerve. The Cathars understood that nerve too. In medieval southern France, they revived a version of this older insight. They taught that the material world was tied to a lesser power and that salvation did not come through institutional sacraments, but through direct spiritual knowledge. That was intolerable to the Church. So the response was not correction, it was annihilation, because autonomous souls are always harder to govern than obedient ones. The Albigensian Crusade made that brutally clear. And that pattern never really disappeared. It just learned how to dress better. Every age has systems that reward conformity and punish interior freedom. Every age finds new ways to smear the person who questions the script, which is why this material is not just about old manuscripts and obscure sects in the desert. It is about a permanent conflict inside human life itself. The conflict between imposed certainty and lived truth. The old alchemists mapped this conflict in a way that still works. Solve et coagula, dissolve and recombine. The light-bearer is the part that breaks the fake self open, the fire that burns borrowed identity, the crisis that makes inherited lies stop working. Sophia is what comes after, the wisdom that gathers the broken pieces and rebuilds you into something truer. One destroys illusion, one integrates truth, one is rupture. One is healing intelligence after rupture. Without the first, nothing breaks open. Without the second, everything stays shattered. That is the great work, not performance, not spiritual branding. Not collecting edgy symbols online and mistaking that for awakening. That line probably annoys a few people, but come on, it is true. Real transformation is much less aesthetic than the internet makes it look. It is usually inconvenient, usually messy, usually humbling. It often begins when something in your life stops working and the old explanations no longer calm you down. That is when the split starts. Outwardly, things may still look normal. Inwardly, something is grinding. That is often Sophia first, a quiet unrest, a refusal to be satisfied by shallow answers. Then comes the Luciferic moment. The crack, the question you cannot unask, the betrayal, the loss, the collapse of an identity, the thing that exposes how much of your life was built on borrowed assumptions. Nobody puts that part on a cute, inspirational poster. But it is real. Mystics called it the dark night for a reason. In a lot of lives, the most important truth does not arrive like comfort. It arrives like a controlled demolition. That is why the Sufi parallel matters too. In Ibn Arabi's vision, Iblis is not reduced to a cartoon villain. He becomes a tragic and terrifying symbol of radical fidelity, the being who refuses to bow to anything but the absolute. Popular theology reads that as pride. The deeper mystical reading sees an unbearable form of devotion that accepts exile, hatred, and misunderstanding as the price of its role. That does not mean every rebellion is holy. Obviously not. It means not every condemned figure is what official storytelling says it is. Sometimes the one branded dangerous is dangerous because he breaks false worship. And if that makes people uneasy, good, it should, because it means inherited fear may be doing more thinking for us than we want to admit. Then there is Pistis Sophia, and this text brings the whole thing down from abstract cosmology into something painfully human. Sophia descends toward a false light. She becomes trapped in lower realms. Powers strip her, bind her, confuse her, but she does not go silent. She cries out again and again, and those cries are not weak. They are the cries of a consciousness that still remembers where it came from, even while buried in chaos. Christ responds, but not as a rescuer dragging out a passive victim. He guides, he teaches, he tests, he strengthens. The ascent happens through remembered participation, not spiritual babysitting. That distinction matters. Real liberation is not delivered like a package. It has to be recognized, chosen, embodied. Sophia's story becomes the soul's story. You fall toward a false light. You get trapped inside structures that drain you. You call out. Something answers. But the answer does not erase the struggle. It turns the struggle into the path back. And this is the part that hits hardest now, in our own time, because modern people love to imagine we are too advanced for old spiritual dramas. But look around. We are drowning in counterfeit light. Endless information, almost no wisdom. Constant visibility, almost no clarity. Systems tell us what to fear, what to want, what to repeat. What kind of self is acceptable? We are more connected than ever, and still weirdly starved of meaning. We perform certainty while privately unraveling. We obey systems we did not build, repeat narratives we never tested, and still call it freedom because the prison got better design. That line sounds harsh, but honestly, where is the lie? A lot of people are not tired because life is busy. They are tired because something in them knows they are adapting to a broken script. The demiurge does not always show up as a mythic tyrant. Sometimes it shows up as a total environment that rewards distraction, punishes depth, and trains people to confuse stimulation with truth. And in that world, Sophia still appears the same way she always has, as the discomfort that will not go away, as the feeling that your life cannot just be consumption, routine, image, and management, as the sudden beauty that interrupts a bad week and makes you feel, for 1 second, That reality is deeper than the script you have been handed. As the intuition that your anxiety is not only pathology, but maybe also protest. Maybe part of you knows you were made for more than adaptation to a broken order. And the light bearer still shows up too, though people usually hate him when he does. He appears as disruption, as the question that ruins your convenient story, as the conversation you were trying to avoid. As the moment the mask cracks and you realize how much of your identity was built to survive, not to live. That is why awakening almost never feels flattering. It feels expensive. Sometimes it feels like your life stops agreeing to lie for you. It asks for your illusions first. It asks whether you want comfort or truth. And most of us, if we are honest, want truth right up until truth starts interfering with our relationships, our status, our habits, or the beliefs that helped us feel safe. That is why this old covenant matters now. It explains something modern psychology often circles without fully naming. Growth is usually a marriage of tenderness and rupture. You need wisdom that can hold you together, and you need fire that refuses to let you keep lying. You need meaning, and you need the destruction of false meaning. You need the whisper, and you need the shock. If you have ever felt that strange combination in your own life, the sense that pain was somehow also an opening, that a breakdown exposed a truer center, then you already understand more of this than you may think. And this is also why these stories refuse to die. Not because they are safe, because they keep finding people at the exact moment their old answers stop working. They survive because human beings keep reaching the edge of inherited certainty and discovering that the approved map does not explain the depth of what they are living through. That is what makes this more than a weird, ancient argument. It is not just about old symbols. It is about the architecture of awakening itself. It is about whether the soul is meant to obey blindly or remember actively. It is about whether the fall is only a disaster or also a mission. It is about whether questioning is a sin or the beginning of conscience. And it is about whether the forces we were trained to separate too neatly, wisdom and rebellion, intuition and disruption, may actually work together in the deepest transformations of human life. That does not mean swallowing every Gnostic claim whole. It means refusing lazy readings and refusing to let inherited fear do all your thinking for you. Maybe that is the real issue here. Not perfect symbolic certainty, just the courage to reopen a story most people were told never to question. If this opened something for you, say where it opened. What part do you agree with? What part still resists you? What part feels dangerous but also hard to dismiss? And if one part of you knows this is not just theory, write this in the comments. Something in me woke up here. You are probably not here by accident. People who can sit with this kind of question have usually been carrying it for a long time. And if you are the kind of person who would rather reopen a dangerous question than settle for a safe answer, subscribe to the channel, because these stories are not finished. They are still working on us.